Today, we have so many things we're going to talk about today. Prince Andrew has been arrested in the Epstein investigation. The SAVE Act and the fight over voting access continues. The Supreme Court has just come in with a ruling. This is like breaking news. They struck down Trump's tariffs. And then we have a really great guest today. If you ever listen to my podcast, Oddly Specific, this is one of those episodes that people always tell me is their favorite episode. My sister has listened to this one 3 times, which is shocking because I don't think she even likes talking to me that much. And that is Brendan Ballou is here, and he's going to talk about his new project that is about holding people accountable in government office. And I've already been emailing him case ideas. So I got a lot of thoughts on this.
Pipeline. You're like,
totally.
And this person and this person.
He's like, Meredith, I don't think we can sue Mark Wahlberg for anything related to what I'm doing.
You can always try.
We need to sue Tyra Banks for her war crimes against millennial women. So if he's willing to take that up, we'll submit that.
Here's one case he probably won't be taking up. Andrew Mottenbont-Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew, has been arrested for suspicions of misconduct in the public office in connection to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. And y'all, first of all, I got to ask you, what did you think when you heard that Prince Andrew had been arrested?
I'm going to let Olivia go first, but do we have the picture of him in the back seat? Maybe not. Maybe not. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Olivia.
Olivia.
Say that he looked like he. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mary.
You, Olivia.
So my sister lives in Scotland, so she's 5 hours ahead of us. So I always get the news a little bit ahead of time. And so I woke up to the news from her. My mom has been following this. She's a royal person. She loves following the royals. So we have been chatting about it nonstop. And I think that it's great, right? This is kind of the beginning of the end. I mean, and I talk a lot about patriarchy and the dominoes falling and all that. We're seeing it happen. And I think that this is really important. It may seem small in the big picture, but it is not small at all.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought that the statement from King Charles, which I refuse to call him King Charles. I'm just going to call him Prince Charles. But I thought the statement from him was really interesting because I'm just going to read it if you haven't heard it. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner by the authorities. In this, as I have said before, they have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. Rebecca, I have to kick this to you because it's like you actually
I know these
the royal family.
Well, okay. Can I also just say he dropped this? He was like, this person is not my brother. I'm acting here as the king. The law has my full support. And now I'm going to go open London Fashion Week. He said, no, thank you. Bye-bye. And I'm going to maintain my cultural relevance. And I mean, so my curiosity, Olivia, is I actually read this almost like the opposite, where I'm like, I think this is huge. And my fear is that this will be the only head to roll, that it's a big enough head on a spike that it represents the optics of it's the royal family is being held accountable. And so we've done our job. The bad guy is gone. And that's my fear more than anything. And I think that the royals are expert. I mean, what the royals do more than anything is maintain that institution. And I always found this to be sort of fascinating because they're basically living monuments. Their job is to be no matter the winds of politics and trends and culture, the royal family exists as a living monument to stability and civility and whiteness and all these other things that they don't talk about. But I do think that that's what Charles did here. Is he said we are not people, we are not family, we are not sad, we are an institution, and now you will go see me maintain our cultural relevance, and we are chopping off the arm of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. And the picture of Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor in the back of the car, he looks, there we have it. I it really, like, this was striking to me.
Yeah.
This picture in and of itself felt to me like, I mean, like, I don't know Virginia Giuffre, but it did feel like it's like he has the look that I'm sure so many girls felt around him.
Mm.
And in some ways, I'm like, there's a little bit of justice. Like, this man suddenly feels the powerless terror that all these girls felt at one
Yeah.
point or another. That's my
I agree. I totally agree with you, Rebecca. From my perspective, I spend all day on Threads. I'm listening to people, right? I think that there was such a fear that nothing was going to happen, right? Like no one was going to be like taken accountable for this. Nothing was going to happen. So this is like one little, like, you know, yes, it's huge. I think it's bigger maybe overseas than it is in America because we don't have the same connection necessarily to him. And we have our own people that we're waiting to fall. But, you know, I think that it was important for people to see this is happening, right? We are taking these people accountable, but it is obviously a huge deal. And we're not used to seeing men take accountability or like these things happen to these men. You know, there's been a lot of correlations. We'll talk about this too with the SAVE Act in terms of family court system and what happens with a lot of these people. And often nothing happens, right? And so this was, I think, very exciting in terms of maybe there's a chance we can actually see justice for this.
Well, I think one of the things that was hard for me is that, like, it's not about the women or girls. This is about the crimes that we actually take seriously as not just a country, but as the global world, right? Like, we take the crimes of like giving, you know, corporate secrets or government secrets, which, like, I'm not saying those, you know what? Maybe what's a government secret between friends, right? Like that, like we take government corruption more seriously than the sexual assault of underage girls. And that's what I thought when I saw him, when I first saw him get arrested, I was like, oh, he's getting arrested for Virginia Giuffre. And then I read that it was like, oh, it's that he emailed this. And I was like, you know what? I've probably emailed a document I'm not supposed to email. Like, you know, to me, I'm glad he's getting it, but it's like, when is someone going to get held accountable for the crimes that have happened against women and girls?
Never is the answer. It's like, no, I think that's a really good point. It's like what we like the moral outrage is what has opened this thing up. Like Virginia Giuffre's bravery really is, I think, part of what started this domino effect. And yet I think you're totally right. Like in terms of like the legal system of people being held accountable, like never, I think.
Like, would you care if Andrew was emailing British documents to Jeffrey Epstein? Like, I don't fucking care. Go ahead.
Do it.
No, they can't, but they're not going to get them for the things that they're actually supposed to get them
right.
for.
That's right. Yeah. I know, Meredith and I.
This is actually perfect timing because let's just talk about how much everybody hates women.
Yeah. Feels like a good transition. We want to talk about the SAVE Act. So the SAVE Act is the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It is, Republicans are putting forth a new legislation. It passed the House last week. All Republicans voted for it, including Thomas Massie. I'm always like, bro, come on. And one Democrat. And it is a proposal that would require when you register to vote. So like imagine when you're at the DMV or wherever you go to register to vote. That's where I think of it. I just re-registered to vote when I redid my license. You have to prove U.S. citizenship. So that means you either have to have your original birth certificate or a passport. And the way that Republicans are putting it forth that I'm seeing is like, hey, what's a little ID? Why not have an ID? And Olivia is like a real expert on this and how this is specifically going to affect women. But before we go into it, I just wanted to play this clip that for whatever reason, I watched a long form interview between Megyn Kelly and JD Vance, and she asked him about the SAVE Act. And I just thought it was really interesting how he characterized it. And so I don't know whether we have that clip, Vienna. Do we have that clip?
The sovereignty to be with the people who cast the ballots, and that's why we have to get the SAVE Act passed. And you'll hear people say all the time, and I love this argument. They'll say, well, if you look at this precinct, only 3 illegal aliens voted in this election. Number one, that's 3 illegal aliens too many. And number two, if it's not a big problem, then why not just allow us to check ID and exercise some basic precautions to prevent illegal aliens from voting? I never quite understand the person who says, on the one hand, this never happens, and on the other hand, your effort to prevent it from happening is a threat to American democracy, which is fundamentally the Democrats' argument.
Olivia, I want to kick it to you. Why is he wrong? What is he missing here? Because it seems like he's speaking directly to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes on my phone. Yeah, so there's a couple things here that we need to really dig into. One is that throughout history, it's no secret that women have changed their names when they got married, right? That is a patriarchal standard that has happened over time. Obviously less and less now, but it's still the standard by a lot. Which means that when you get married, your birth certificate is going to have your original birth name, and your social security card from birth will have your birth name. You do get a new one when you are married. I have two, from when I was married and when I was born. They have different names on them, right? And then my license is going to be updated for when I got married, and then so forth. What they're saying is that if there is a discrepancy between the names on these documents, you will not be able, or it'll make it more difficult, right, for you to vote or register to vote. So what their solution is, oh, just go get a passport with whatever name you're using now. That's another form of ID. This goes into a much bigger issue, which is that passports take a really long time to get sometimes. You also need an incredible amount of information for passports. I'm currently in the process of just redoing my kids' passports, and that is crazy, especially from divorce. And then also, passports are expensive. This is not a cheap solution, right? So you are literally gatekeeping people from voting. And this is going back, I was reading our friend Eve Rodsky, who talks a lot about this. She had posted this great meme about it. And I was reading the comments, and women are obviously very upset about this. And the conversation of no taxation without representation keeps coming up, right? How, like, a lot of these women keep saying, well, I'm not paying my taxes then. If you're not going to let me to vote in an easy way that we have been doing forever, then I am not going to pay my taxes. Obviously, that's a bigger conversation. What it comes down to, and what the conversation that Meredith and I had a lot of the last year is that this is really keeping women from voting. And that's really scary when it comes down to it. It is not a secret that we have seen on social media and on Reddit and all of these places. There is a lot of people who do not want women to vote. And I don't think that people realize the mass amount of men, especially, who are very anti the 19th Amendment, right? Which is for women, white women, to vote. And then later, Black women got the right to vote. But this is really going to, it's not just a simple, like, here, show two forms of identification. This is a much bigger issue about who owns you, right? Do you own your name? Who are you? And what if there is a discrepancy between the two, and you want to vote and you can't do that?
I have a question. What if I'm not for voter IDs? But what if it wasn't a passport? What if it was like, hey, we need a document that has your name on it? And it, you know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to think about the fact that the barrier to entry becomes the passport, which becomes something that you don't have to have a passport in this country if you don't want one, nor should you.
You don't have to have a license.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. You don't have to have any you don't have to have an ID, you don't have to have these things. So to me, I'm thinking a little bit about the fact that they used to make Black folks pay to vote. And it goes back to that to me. Like, it's a barrier to, it's like creating a fee to vote. It's not even about like the actual thing. It's about, to me, it's about the money that people would have to spend. So that's what I keep thinking about.
Yeah, and not to mention, sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
No, you go, Olivia. You go.
I was going to say, not to mention the money, but many people don't have their birth certificates anymore.
I don't have
So you actually have to pay to get another birth certificate from your town, right?
Yeah.
So there is always going to be a barrier of entry that is money here for women. And I talk to women all day long. A lot of women have no access to their own funds or their own bank accounts, or literally no money. Like, I say that, and I'm not talking like I'm saying, suburban white women do not have access to their own money. So we are really talking about a much bigger issue here than just an act that they could pass.
Yeah, it's part of a broader effort. We're going to move on in a second, but one thing that I just wanted to point out is in Florida, they just passed a law that you have to pass an English writing test in order, or a reading comprehension test in order to get your driver's license. And I was thinking about whenever I've registered to vote, it's always been when I'm getting my driver's license. And so to me, I see this sort of like, oh, like this is one place where they're basically eliminating the ability for non-English speakers to get into the voter rolls. Like there's so many small ways in which they're clearly trying to purge the voter rolls in so many different ways. And, democracy, baby. Speaking of democracy, right before we got on this morning, the Supreme Court surprised us and they they ruled against the Trump tariffs. In a 6-3 decision, they ruled that Trump's sweeping tariffs are unconstitutional because Congress holds the power of the purse. And that kind of like upends a lot of things. So just for the record, Justice Alito, Thomas, and Kavanaugh dissented the decision. In other words, they thought that Trump had every right to do that. And now the question is sort of like, what happens next? Because this was such a core part of the past year, like our country, are we going to have to pay people back? And like, certainly this is something Trump is going to be talking about in the State of the Union, which we're going to be covering quite a bit on Tuesday. But Meredith, like, what was your reaction when you saw this morning?
Well, two things. First of all, I was like, are things going to start getting cheaper for me?
Like, probably not somehow, like when was the last time you were like, wow, I can breathe, but yeah.
Affordable. Nothing. So there's that. That was one thought that I had, because listen, at the end of the day, I am still an American and the rugged individualism does peek through once in a while. But my other thought process was, I was thinking a lot about Justice Amy Coney Barrett because, she, went against Trump in this. And I think when Trump selected her, he really thought he was getting a champion of whatever he put forward. And not to say that I think she's this incredible justice or that I agree with where she stands, but she does not just vote on things because it is what MAGA wants or because it is what Trump wants. And I think that's like, I don't want to like give her, like applaud her, but like she does do her job.
Yeah. I want to hear what Olivia thinks, but I just want to throw out, I kind of feel like she surprised herself. Like, haven't you heard her like suddenly talk about abortion? And she's like, I never thought about it that way. I never realized this would be the consequence. It's like, in some ways, I think she has come around to new experiences and opinions, but I wonder what Olivia thinks about Amy Coney Barrett.
I think that it's great to grow and change and evolve when we learn more information, right? But I also, for me, Meredith, what I came to this morning when I saw this news was small businesses, right? We have seen so many small businesses close and shut down, women-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses over the last year because of tariffs. And could this be coming back? And can we reconstruct the small business, the brick and mortar, after this is kind of passed? Because that's been really devastating for a lot of women-owned businesses.
Yeah, it's kind of like, has the damage already been done,
right,
and gone too far?
I was just talking to my dad about this. It's like, I don't think like other countries are suddenly going to be like, okay, I guess we can normalize again. Like, I think it's going to take at least 2 or 3 like normal presidential cycles for the world to be like, okay, we can like do business, because we've so destabilized everything. We've so proven ourselves to be an unreliable partner in so many ways. Like, this is how the American public has voted now twice, like,
well, it's so funny, Rebecca, that you said that. I was just talking to my 12-year-old last night, and he goes, we went from Obama to Trump, right, to Biden to Trump. He's like, no wonder we're all so tired.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
We're exhausted.
Yeah.
Someone left me a comment yesterday that they were like, just so you know, half of the country is MAGA. And I was like, yeah, just so you know, in your mind, you think the other half of the country is the leftist woke mob. And I'm like, and it's just, nothing could be further for the truth. Half of the country is not leftist and half of the country is not MAGA. And I think that's like one of the biggest things that we need to kind of realize is that there's a lot of the in between.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who don't give a shit, period.
Right. Who just don't vote.
Like, I feel like people
I'm sorry.
underestimate the amount of people that are like, who's the president?
Right?
Mhm.